a question again about dislocation, migration, exile. Do you think the characters in your books, from Call Me By Your Name to Find Me, would have such depth and chemistry without them living through migrating and living in various places like you did?
No, they wouldn't. They need to. Basically, it's what I project on them. I project on them the fact that they're fundamentally not just unconventional in their desires, but they're also unhinged in the world that they live. So to go to Call Me By Your Name, which is amazing because the film picked up on that and went a step further. In Call Me By Your Name, it's an Italian-American family. In other words, the mother is Italian, the father is American, the boy speaks Italian at home or English. And then the film did something extra. They added French, which for me made perfect sense because it was exactly the kind of world that I grew up in, where everybody spoke French, Arabic, in my case Arabic, French, Italian, and English, and sometimes Greek. So when you have this kind of plural world, you have characters who are not going to be your basic person who grew up, say, in Queens, and you know, and basically knows Manhattan well, and that's about it. These are people who are basically pulled all over the world, and they have various what you might call sort of antecedents that are a bit everywhere. And I like that. And so my characters are like that. Even Oliver, who grew up in New England, happens to be Jewish and is in Italy, and now he's going to go back to Italy maybe, and has a family, but also is gay. There's a kind of, everything is never, there's, what's the word that people use nowadays, which I don't like very much, but there's a kind of fluidity about them. They're fluid in every single sense of the word. And that I like best. I mean,
Prompting a question for me. I mean, you have all of these languages. Why write in English?
Because I always went to English schools, and so that was my training, was in English. I know French, but ask me to write a letter in French. I don't even know the cliche formulations. In Italian, it's just as difficult. I mean, I can write a letter, but it will sound like a 3-year-old wrote it. And I mean, I do a lot of interviews in French and Italian, and I'm totally fluent. But I know that I'm not able to master the nuances the way I want to in English. So I write in English, which is not my mother tongue.
It's a question actually touching on this idea. It's a question about the process of writing and publishing your first book, which I gather you were a little uncomfortable about because you weren't as confident in English. And you were worried about writing outside of your mother tongue.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my first book I wrote it when I was 37 or 38. And I didn't know if the kind of prose I was writing was marketable. In other words, would people read this kind of prose? Little did I know that they did. I mean, we're talking about Out of Egypt. And which has still remained is always sold for the past 25 years. So it's done okay. But I was not confident when I handed in the manuscript. I thought they were going to say, your sentences are just not English. They're not American English. And I still feel that this is something that some people hold in some way. That this is not the kind of English that we write here, André Aciman. Okay. But I'm very, very insecure about my English, and my prepositions go to hell because I'll never learn prepositions in English. Never.
I think that's a decent note to end on. To hell with prepositions.
Well, yes.
And realism. Thank you so much. André will be signing books.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.